OpenClaw just dropped version 2026.3.2 on March 3rd, and the headline is 150 fixes and a built-in PDF brain. But if you read the changelog like that and move on, you're missing the actual story. This release isn't a cleanup patch. It's OpenClaw systematically closing the gaps that were preventing developers from trusting it with real production workflows, and the PDF engine is only the most visible piece of a much larger architectural shift. 3 things define this release. First, native PDF analysis backed by Anthropic and Google as processing backends. Second, a fully matured secret system that now covers 64 credential targets. Third, security patches that close 3 separate privilege escalation vulnerability classes simultaneously. Together, these changes move OpenClaw from a powerful personal tool that required constant babysitting into something that can run unsupervised on serious workloads without making you nervous. Let's start with the headline feature, because the implementation detail matters more than the feature name suggests. Before March 2nd, 2026, handling a PDF in OpenClaw meant writing a custom skill. You'd import a PDF parsing library, extract the raw text yourself, chunk it manually to fit within the LLM context window, and pipe each chunk through separately. For a 200-page technical document, this was a multi-step pre-processing nightmare that fell apart the moment the document had complex tables, embedded images, or non-standard formatting. The new native PDF analysis tool eliminates all of this. OpenClaw now handles end-to-end PDF ingestion as a first-class operation. You drop a file path, and the agent reasons over the full document. Anthropic and Google serve as the processing backends, depending on which model you have configured, meaning the extraction quality scales with the underlying model capability. For developers, the immediate practical applications are significant. Contract review, technical specification analysis, log file parsing from PDF exports, invoice processing, all of these are now single command operations rather than multi-skill engineering projects. The invoice processing use case in particular is worth dwelling on. Combined with the SecretRef secret system, you can now build a workflow where OpenClaw monitors an email inbox, detects incoming PDF invoices, uses the native PDF engine to extract line items and totals, matches them against a local database, and flags discrepancies. All without a single custom pre-processing script. That workflow would have required 3 separate skills and significant glue code in 2026.3.1. In 2026.3.2, it's a prompt and a few configuration lines. The SecretRef maturation in this release is the feature that gets overlooked in favor of the PDF headline. But for any developer running OpenClaw against real third-party services, it's equally transformative. SecretRef now covers 64 credential targets. To put that in context, previous versions supported a small subset of common services and required manual credential injection for everything else. You were essentially managing secrets outside of OpenClaw and hoping the agent handled them correctly. The 64 target coverage now includes Stripe, Slack, GitHub, common database connection strings, cloud provider credentials, and a wide range of communication APIs. More critically, the failure behavior has been completely re-architected. Previously, an unresolved SecretRef would silently fail mid-workflow. The agent would continue executing, skip the credential-dependent step, and you'd discover the failure only when checking outputs. Now, unresolved references fail fast and loudly at task initialization before any execution begins. This sounds like a minor quality of life improvement until you've spent 2 hours debugging why an automated workflow silently processed half of your invoices before running out of credentials. The new behavior makes OpenClaw's execution model predictable in a way that previous versions in 2026.3.2 deserve individual attention because each one closes a fundamentally different class of vulnerability. The first is gateway loopback WebSocket hardening. This directly addresses the architectural pattern that enabled the clawjacked vulnerability, where an unprotected localhost WebSocket port allowed any web page to impersonate agent commands. The hardening adds origin validation and token-based authentication to all loopback WebSocket connections, meaning a malicious website can no longer forge messages to your local agent, even if it knows the port number. The second is Skill Workspace Symbolic Link Escape Protection. This is a more subtle but serious vulnerability class. OpenClaw isolates skill execution to a designated workspace directory. A malicious or compromised skill could previously create symbolic links pointing outside the workspace boundary, effectively giving it read and write access to arbitrary file system locations. The patch adds symbolic link resolution checks before any file operation, refusing to follow links that resolve outside the authorized workspace path. The third is plugin route deduplication. When two plugins registered conflicting API routes, previous versions would silently accept both, creating an unpredictable routing state where the active handler depended on load order. This could be exploited by a malicious plugin to silently intercept traffic intended for a trusted plugin. The patch enforces strict route uniqueness at registration time and rejects conflicts with an explicit error. 3 separate patches, 3 separate privilege escalation surfaces, all closed in one release. This is what a security-aware release cadence looks like. The least covered feature in this release is also the one with the longest tail for plugin developers, the new api.runtime.stt.transcribe audio file method. This exposes OpenClaw's speech-to-text pipeline as a first-class programmatic API rather than a black box limited to WhatsApp voice message handling. The practical implication: any plugin can now initiate transcription against any audio file on the local system. Combined with the new message transcribed and message preprocessed hook events, you have full lifecycle visibility into how audio input moves through the agent pipeline. The meeting automation workflow this unlocks is genuinely compelling. A plugin that watches a designated folder, detects new audio recordings, transcribes them via the API, extracts structured action items through the LLM, creates GitHub issues from those action items, and sends a summary to your Telegram, all triggered by dropping a single audio file. This entire pipeline runs inside OpenClaw, with no external services required beyond your configured LLM and STT provider. Pull back from the individual features and look at 2026.3.2 as a single coherent statement about where OpenClaw is heading. The PDF engine, the secrets maturation, the security patches, and the audio API all share a common theme: removing the reasons a serious developer would hesitate to trust OpenClaw with a real production workload. The PDF engine removes the preprocessing barrier for document-heavy workflows. The secret system removes the credential management barrier for multi-service integrations. The security patches remove the risk surface that was giving corporate security teams grounds to block adoption. The audio API removes the barrier to voice-driven automation that previously required custom skill engineering. This is not a project that's iterating on features. This is a project that's systematically eliminating the objections standing between itself and production-grade adoption. Combined with a WebSocket streaming and parallel execution from 2026.3.1, OpenClaw now has the latency profile, the security posture, the document handling, and the credential management to sit inside serious infrastructure. The question is no longer whether OpenClaw is capable enough. The question is whether your security team will let it through the door. 150 fixes sounds like housekeeping. Native PDF analysis, 64 target secrets, 3 privilege escalation patches, and a full audio transcription API in one release is a different story entirely. OpenClaw is making its case for production infrastructure one release at a time, and 2026.3.2 is the strongest case it's made yet. Subscribe for a complete breakdown of every major release. Hit like if you're updating today, and drop a comment telling me which feature you're putting into production first.